Hello everyone, welcome to another program about Hizmet Talks with Behzad Fatmi. I'll introduce him shortly. We'll be talking about Erdogan's new step uh, in the direction of authoritarianism. Welcome Behzad, how are you?
I'm fine, Ismail. How are you?
Thank you very
Thank you for
much.
having.
No worries, this platform is yours as much as it is mine. Um, Before we go further into the conversation, I will ask my friends, fellow people who are watching us, please can you share the program? That is what I'm doing now, and that would be great if you can, please. I've just shared it on my Twitter and I'm just sharing on my Facebook so that we can have a nice conversation. Because what we're talking is not a cap. What we're going to talk today is a story that is still developing at the moment. It's Erdogan's new step towards authoritarianism that involves a Kurdish MP being arrested. So uh, let me finish my. Okay. And in the meantime, I'm hoping that everything is okay in your end. You can hear me clearly, Behzad.
I can. There's no problem.
Okay. And yeah, let's start. So, you have this video recently. Uh, Someone who is following Turkish media carefully, you have had this video about Ömer Faruk Gergerlioğlu. So, shall I? It's an Urdu video on your YouTube channel. I'll try to reflect that on the screen. But 1 minute. They are saying the voice is not balanced. Does that mean my voice is very weak or okay?
He says Mr. Ismail's voice is low. Behzad's is high.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. I think
yeah.
yeah. So I think this is much better now because I have just increased the input. I'm having these difficulties trying new stuff, but obviously we get there. Now it should be okay because I can see that it is okay. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah, you were explaining that your YouTube video that about this topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, right. Of course, Turkish politics is never less exciting, but last week was in particular very chaotic and turbulent. On Wednesday, March the 17th, the the Turkish parliament voted to expel HDP MP Ömer Faruk Gergerlioğlu from parliament. He was elected in 2018 as an MP from the pro-Kurdish HDP party, People's Democratic Party, and because of a tweet, he was found guilty in a court, and later on, the ruling AKP and its uh, coalition partner MHP, the Ultra Nationalist Party, decided to expel him from the parliament. So they voted. They held a vote in the parliament and effectively expelled him from the parliament. And then he
Uh,
decided to.
before
Uh,
before we move into what he did, maybe it's a good point to stop for a second and look into what exactly he is questioning because nowadays, especially in the Muslim world, people often presume that if there is a case, a court, some sort of a persecution, there might be some sort of a reason for it. So in this case, the reason is very interesting. Like maybe it requires a little bit more detail. I think he is being questioned, or his membership to the parliament has been dismissed because of a tweet or a retweet, to be precise, of a news. Isn't that like a news about a peace process that was published by someone from a news outlet? Nobody's actually been punished for that news itself. Nobody else has been punished of retweeting that news. But just Ömer Faruk Gergerlioğlu somehow lost his membership to the parliament for a tweet that he retweeted, not a tweet that he has written, but a news piece that he has retweeted. And if we were to assume that that news was some sort of a problem, that no one else get the same treatment, not even the person who has written the news is in trouble, but Ömer Faruk Gergerlioğlu is like how do you find it from looking afar from Turkey? How do you see that?
This brings us to a very important point as about the motives behind this step that has been taken against Gergerlioğlu. He was not only a politician or a member of parliament from a opposition party, he was also a prominent human rights activist. I mean, he is also a prominent human rights activist in Turkey, and he was using his status as an MP to talk about some of the persecution against innocent Turks in Turkey. He was using his status to talk about these persecutions in the parliament, which notably nobody else was doing. There's only one person from the HDP party, Gergerlioğlu, who was talking about those persecutions. The other person, perhaps from the another opposition party, CHP, was Sezgin Tanrıkolu. But apart from them, we have seldom seen anybody talking about some of the highly debated persecutions of innocent Turks in Turkey, for example, and these things are highly debated internationally, not within Turkey. For example, abduction of dissident citizens from streets, strip searches, and also jailing of pregnant women and children. So these are the things that have unfortunately become very common in Turkey, across Turkey. And we have seen many incidents of the Turkish intelligence agency agents abducting people who are critical of the AKP of the government, abducting them from street and taking them to detention centers and police stations and torturing them there. We have seen incidents of that. We have seen incidents of strip searches against young women, young and old women, and this one of the cases which actually provoked lots of testimonies on social media was in Uşak. It's a city in Turkey where there were reports about 30 female students being strip searched in a police station, and Gergerlioğlu raised this issue in the parliament. He used his status as an MP to talk about this within the parliament. So these are the things which were always people outside Turkey, the journalists who are now in exile in Europe or in America are talking about these things. They are bringing it to the attention of people. But within Turkey, we hardly know of anybody else talking about these things. And Gergerlioğlu talking about this was very, very disturbing for the government. And again, the third thing was the which is again, it's continuing the jailing of pregnant women and other women, and also with their babies in parliament. So there are about more than 5,000 women in prison right now in Turkey. So this is the situation. These are and Gergerlioğlu my apologies. He did not limit himself to talking about only these things, but of course he was talking about any kind of human rights violations happening in Turkey. And he emerged as a prominent human rights defender.
Yes, I
More
mean
than
that is his background as well, isn't it? Like I think that's one other key component in here. The fact that he was he was a human rights activist worker before he gets into parliament. He took many roles in various human rights charities that are really respected in Turkey and Turkish originated, like İHA'de and others. And among all the MPs across the spectrum, maybe he's the one person who consistently denied this genocidal language, or he consistently denied using any genocidal language. He was very clear that this is a human rights issue. Even the prisoners have rights. Even the people who are accused have rights. No matter what they are accused, people shouldn't be tortured, shouldn't be strip searched, shouldn't be abducted by the state, and should have some rights, should have their rights respected. And he never actually give in terms of his position. Like every politician, almost like had to draw a bold, big line, try to distance itself or himself from what government calls FETÖ. Like, and by doing that also, meaning like kind of agrees with the argument that government has. But Ömer Faruk Gergerlioğlu never looked at the situation like that. He says, I don't care how the state blames with someone and whether they are guilty or not. Every human being has a right. I think it's his background kicked in there, and that was maybe one big problem, because this guy keeps bringing all these human rights issues and tells them in the parliamentarian pulpit, gets them into record, ask questions about these issues, raise awareness about these issues, almost entirely himself doing an opposition role of a big opposition party, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, Gergerlioğlu talked about these issues when not the Turkish media, but also the opposition parties were afraid of raising such issues. They not only they remain silent, but they actively, use the language of the government, of the regime. Calling a volunteers of a peaceful social movement terrorists, and accusing the whole group of something. There might be a few people who might have done something wrong, but you cannot accuse everybody, millions of people, of the same thing. And so that charge of veto and the about veto, all such a thing, it is not accepted anywhere else in the world, but the Turkish government has normalized it so much that even the opposition parties do not find it problematic to use the same language as the government. And in such an environment, and then of course there was Turkish media. Turkish media too is totally under government's control. There's hardly opposition media in critical media, or let's say independent media in the country. Even some media outlets that like to call themselves independent or critical or opposition are not really do not really have different views on veto from the government. So in this situation, Gergerlioğlu really did something that nobody else was doing in Turkey, and this made him a target for the government. And finally, we are seeing what we are seeing today, that he has been expelled from the parliament. And then when he started kind of protest by staying in the parliament building and not leaving it, he was later, 5 days later, I believe, he was detained while he came out of his office to take ablution for the morning prayer, for the Fajr prayer. So again, this issue itself, I mean, it is very symbolic, but we are seeing an Islamist party, a party which calls itself pious, and a president who calls himself very practicing Muslim, detained a member of parliament, a pious member of parliament, while taking ablution. Had this happened during the Kemalist regime, before the AKP came to power, all these people would be up in arms, saying that, see, this the Kemalists and the communalists and secularists uh, are assaulting Muslims, are assaulting the religion of Islam. But there, an Islam which champions the cause, so-called cause of the Muslims, is actually doing something like this, detaining a person, a pious politician, while taking ablution. So
Yeah.
it's another irony
But
of
it
its own
is
kind.
there is a little more to it. I think when he decides to stay in the parliament to protest, which I really respected a lot, because that shows how much of an activist he is. Like, he actually decided that this is a struggle and he won't go down easy. And
Yeah.
he first night, I think, he slept on his couch in his office, and the next day he used a bed on the floor. And I think the fourth day, as you said, when he went out for toilet, to use the toilet to renew his wudu so he can do Fajr prayer in the morning, the police apprehended him, and which is very symbolic. Yet this is a guy what exactly Erdogan hates, because he is a pious Muslim. He is a practicing pious Muslim, but not an AK Party supporter. In fact, one of the biggest opponent of Erdogan. So he can't actually push him aside by saying, well, the way he did to seculars and Kemalists. And on the other hand, he's a Kurdish person. But he's still not a member of AK Party. He's actually a member of HDP, and doing this and actually raising voice for all citizens, having this effect of bringing all the dissident voices together and being a voice to those voiceless people. So I think is probably the antidote of what Erdogan is trying to implement nowadays. But
And
he was taken under custody, taken into the police, where he was supposed to be arrested and kept in prison, because there is apparently a judgment about that retweet he did. But I think the fact that the Turkish court system is very much tweaked according to the needs and what the society thinks and how they respond to an issue. And I think the fact that this MP was arrested on his way to do his prayers hit so much different nerves in Turkish, let's say, conservative minds and religious minds, that Erdogan had to uh, take a step back. But that wasn't the only thing, isn't it? They also, the very same day they denounced his membership to parliament, they also started this process of closing down the entire Kurdish party and some other
mhm.
stuff. I think Erdogan also decided to get rid of the central bank, and there has been a number of things that happened on that Friday that is now returning to Turkey as an increase in the as an economic crisis, effectively as an increase in the dollar value in Turkey, and, well, in another way, the decrease of Turkish money and its value in Turkey. So, what do you think
As
about the other things, like the Kurdish party now
mhm.
facing once again to be closed down by this time from a Islamist regime rather than a Kemalist regime before?
Sure, we'll come back to the closure process of the HDP, the petition for closure of the HDP later. But since you mentioned about the resignation of central bank's governor, it reminds me of another very debated issue in the Turkish politics, was the sudden resignation of President Erdogan's son-in-law, who was the Minister of Economy or Treasury at the time. Uh, he was he suddenly resigned, and ever since he hasn't been seen in public. Let's again, there are rumors about where he is, but let's again ask, where is Berat Al-Bayrak? But the person who resigned last week was replaced. Sorry, I mean, he replaced Berat Al-Bayrak. when he resigned from as the treasury minister. Naji Abal was made the governor of the central bank, and now he has suddenly resigned. So when he was appointed there, it was seen as if this career economist has been brought in to salvage the Turkish economy, which is in a bad shape, and also to help the Turkish currency, the Turkish lira, gain some strength again. But again, the situation, the Turkish economy has hardly improved, although there were some praises about Naji Abal, that he is taking some concrete steps to strengthen the Turkish lira, and the economy is expected to improve. But all of a sudden, we are seeing him resigning as well. And interestingly, in his tweet about his resignation, he thanked the president for dismissing him. It is another kind of unique thing about the Turkish situation, the Turkish politics. If he thanks the prime president for appointing him at different positions in the past, and now this time when he was sacked, he thanks the president for that too. But anyway, so this.
I think the new central bank, the head of central bank is Shahab Kavacıoğlu. He started this Monday, and that is that has been a bit turbulent. But let's go back to the HDP again. Like
Yes.
the decide to closure and everything. How do you see that?
True. So now within Turkey, the um, yes. So domestically, Turkey, the government is faced with a lot of issues. There is the economy is in a really bad shape. The inflation rate is high in Turkey. The government's response to coronavirus pandemic hasn't been great, and there's also a lot of anger against the government's response, and these problems, and of course there's these problems have been there already. The opposition parties too have been criticizing the government. I mean, they now have a lot of reasons to criticize the government. So the Turkish government, the AKP government, is under a lot of pressure domestically, but at the same time, internationally, the the Turkish government is not very comfortable. A new administration has come in America, which is not very supportive of the Erdogan regime, as was the previous administration, the Trump administration. And at the same time, Turkey is, since it is finding itself very isolated internationally, criticisms from the European Union is is is on as for a very long time. But in the neighborhood too, the Turkish government, for example, now is trying to warm up to the Sisi regime, the in Egypt, and they are also putting very strong conditions for before normalizing the relationship. So anyway, the government is facing a lot of challenges, both domestically and internationally. And at this time, it really needs to strengthen increase its grip on power in Turkey. And what is perhaps from the government, from the AKP's point of view, there's nothing better than to increase the grip on power. There's nothing better than starting a war on the Kurdish population, the Kurdish minorities, or increasing the polarization, or stoking nationalist sentiment in Turkey. So now we are seeing that an MP from the pro-Kurdish party HDP has been expelled, and there's also a petition in the Constitutional Court to shut the party down. We saw similar things in, if you remember, in back in 2015, when on June 7, 2015, the AKP lost its parliamentary majority for the first time in its history. Its vote share had come down from 50% to 41%, and the HDP had increased its vote share from 7 to 8% to 13%. And
Yes, indeed.
so HDP had emerged at the cost of AKP at that time. And all of a sudden, as the results of June 7, 2015 elections were announced, we so in after that election, this situation was such that AKP could have formed a government with any of the other three political parties, namely HDP, CHP, or MHP. It could have formed the government, but it did not really want to form a coalition government, and it ensured that the other three opposition parties also do not come together and form a government. And by the way, this was tacitly accepted or confessed by Ahmed Dawood himself, who was the prime minister at that time. So, so the AKP did not want to form a coalition government, and it didn't want the other parties to form a government. It started an assault on the Kurds again. The solution process that was going on for the last 2.5 years, that was all of a sudden sabotaged, and the Turkish military started bombing Kurdish areas in the southeast of the country. And they tried to create a perception about the HDP as if it's the political arm of the PKK, and therefore they are also terrorists. They do not have democratic or legitimate um, uh, what do you say legitimate ways, and therefore they also need to be shut down and isolated. So from June 7 to November 1, when the next election was held, there was chaos in the country. There was an attack on the Kurdish activists in the southeastern city of Suruc, in which I think 32 people were killed. And there was another attack in the heart of the capital of Turkey, Ankara, in which more than 100 people were killed. Most of them were HDP supporters. So in the country, there was this. All of a sudden, we saw terrorist attacks happening, not only in the periphery of the country, but in the heart of this capital city. And the government successfully, perhaps, created this perception about the HDP that they are a terrorist organization.
Yeah, I think they do that very often. I think they do that very often, and you capture the history very well as well. One thing is that like about Turkey is that uh, it's very obvious that Erdogan is taking this towards an election, and it seems like he's going to repeat the same. Uh, he will try to repeat the same coalition success that he managed with the Nationalist Front. Hence, that means like there'll be a Kurdish crackdown. Um, there is some talks on the political sphere that this is going to get worse, and probably the last time what Erdogan couldn't achieve was to get he managed to get Abdullah Öcalan, the PKK leader's support, but which didn't turn to tides against him. So still Kurdish people vote to the Kurdish party, and which probably caused a lot of grief to Erdogan. But I think there is some more stuff happening in Turkey. I know we have already reached 30 minutes, but when it rains, it pours, apparently. So in Turkey, there is also this issue of Turkey decided to come out the Istanbul Convention, which by its name, you can infer that Turkey was the leading party in there, instigated some sort of a progressive convention about women's rights. And now Turkey is coming out from there, and it looks like another political move to appease the some, let's say, ultra conservative people. I will ask you, what did you observe on that? But I just want to mention, because I like this sort of activism, is that recently I have just observed this advocates of silent Turkey.
Turkey,
Yeah,
silence Turkey.
yeah, they have actually organized a very successful uh, protest, virtual protest. And I was there. I was there. It's very easy to say that because you just meaning like you logged in on the right time. And what I realized that at that time, I think there was almost 30,000 people watching live. This was mainly about the women's rights, so it was very timely about the fact that Erdogan has just cancelled the Istanbul Convention, which again, every conversation somehow that is also tagged and blamed as some sort of like pro LGBT, hence a devious attempt to destroy Turkish cultural and family life and everything. So, what do you think about this front? About, like, not only these all political moves against the Kurdish and human rights activists in Turkey, both in the individual level and the party level, but also there has been a lot about the women's rights, a lot of steps towards backwards, which initially was taken by Erdogan. What do you think about that?
I mean, exactly at a time when human rights and in particular women's rights is under attack in Turkey, in a country where more than 5,000 women are behind bars with hundreds of babies, and lots of women have lost their lives while trying to flee Turkey, trying to cross the River Maritsa and Mediterranean Sea. And also, we have seen that there's a spike in the number of murders against women in Turkey, the femicide, I think that's called. So all these things are at its peak in Turkey. I mean, these are some of the things that have never been seen in Turkey at such a scale. And at this time, I think it is only normal or unsurprising to see the government taking Turkey out of an international treaty designed to protect the women's right. When you have a government which is determined to do all sorts of atrocities against women, anybody who does not agree with their policies, with their actions, anybody who the government sees as the other, when the government is persecuting them like never before, it is, I think, very obvious and normal that the government would take the country out of an international treaty designed to protect women. So I don't think it's very surprising. It's very expected of the AKP.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is very, very shameful, and it will only increase Turkey's isolation in the international fora, internationally. So it's extremely shameful that at a time like this, Turkey is taking itself out of it. But it's also very surprising that Turkey is trying to somehow find allies in the United States, as Russia is um, uh, pushing against it. The Erdogan regime tried to please Russian government, Russia, by purchasing the S-400s. But at the same time, when things are not really on track with them, it is also sending the Erdogan regime is sending delegations to Washington to find some ways to normalize or normalize ties with the U.S. administration, and that too isn't happening. But and interestingly, President Biden issued a statement against Turkey's sudden withdrawal from the Istanbul Convention. And this is first statement from President Biden himself about Turkey
Turkey, yes.
since yes,
Uh,
ever since he became president. This is the first statement he has issued, and it's a statement about condemning the regime of something. So it shows how bad U.S.-Turkey relations are at the moment.
yes, but at the same time, I don't know why it is not showing this one. I just changed the screen, but it didn't. Anyway, so at the same time, I just wanted to show something, but it somehow stuck in there, so I'll leave that. At the same time, all these combined efforts has bear some bitter fruits to Turkish economy. All these things diminishing human rights, all these sudden actions to remove, the head of central bank, punish the prominent HDP MP, trying to close down the Kurdish party, and moving out from the Istanbul Convention. All of this apparently seems like affecting Turkish economy. There is a huge spike. I just wanted to share it on the screen, but somehow it is stuck with the previous one. So I'll have to leave it for another one.
I think
Hmm?
Turkish lira has lost value again. It has
Yes. I was just trying to show in last month it was around $1 was around 7.5 Turkish lira, and now it hit up to 8 for a while, and later, like if you look at last 5 days, I can maybe try to refresh this.
mhm.
Let me try to do a manual refresh so the screen may come back. No, it doesn't. Anyway, so somehow I don't know why it is stuck, but yeah. Anyway, Turkish lira lost a lot of value, and it was to the point that they had to stop selling and buying Turkish lira in Turkish banks, or in a way selling and buying dollars in the Turkish banks to just make sure it was stabilized, which probably frightened the markets a bit more. But it looks like authoritarianism is going hand in hand with the economic crisis as well somehow, because the one is inevitable with the other.
Of
And
course, if you give confidence to the investors, if your if the human rights situation is not good, if you're taking over businesses whimsically, then how can you expect international or even local investors to invest in the market? That's really not possible. And yeah, this is happening.
yeah, I think a lot of people are trying to save some of their money by taking them out of the country as well at the moment. And of course, I'm not an economist, but like the financial authorities are trying to desperately fix the economy by offering higher interest rates and everything. We'll see what will happen about that, but obviously we can safely assume, although no one said something like that, there might be an election soon in Turkish politics, and Erdogan has already started its move to secure his election. I will at this point ask whether anyone has any question that Behzad or me can answer. If you have any question, you can write in the chat. Otherwise, it has been a nice event, a nice program with various problems that I have received, but overall, very good. It was good to see you.
You,
Maybe we should be doing this on Monday evenings rather than Thursdays, and
yeah.
we couldn't make it work in the weekends as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And and
Monday
and
seems.
and I shall urge everyone, please can you let me see? Yeah, this is Behzad's YouTube channel. If you can, please join and subscribe his channel. That'll be great, because he's sometimes doing even Turkish content, sometimes English, and mostly in Urdu. He will probably start changing his thumbnails a bit better, more readable. Okay.
I should perhaps also add that on my channel, I've started making some Turkish videos also about India's history and culture and historical places, touristic places. So anybody, people can visit and watch my videos for such things as well, not only politics.
Yeah, that's I can see there is because there is some sort of a rich Muslim heritage in there. I can already see two of those videos on your homepage. Thank you very much for joining, Behzad, and we'll see you next time. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Thanks for watching, everyone. If you have any questions, you can always write in the comment section. And if you like the video, please like it by clicking the like button. And if you want to be made aware, if you want to be alerted about the new videos, please just click the alert button, so we can when we start streaming, you can get an alert for that. And see you for the next program. Have a nice day.